Sure. Okay, this is KVS Sastry again. On behalf of Talent Eve, today I will be giving our on horizontals and verticals in the for the electronic product development segments. In order to go into different segmentation variations, I will be dealing with the various domains and of the different fields in the market that is available, and also I'll be talking on the horizontals. I'll be going to define what horizontal, how it can be mapped to the verticals or the domains you call it up. It will be mapped. So in order to go into the basic vertical domains, basically in the market, if you see, there are with the various domains that's called industrial, automotive, railways, oil and gas, energy utilities, medical, process, telecom, defense, and these are the major domains that we come across in the market where you do electronic product development for all these domains. But in what way your electronic product development is concerned to these various domains? So if you go into that particular area, the domains are only for the sake of the knowledge and application where you define your electronic product to that particular domain. Say, let's example, I'm developing a product of the electronic product for industrial environment. It has a basic specifications with respect to industrial requirements. It may be hardware, it may be firmware, or it may be software or mechanical or certifications. But if you go into the automotive, similar, all these comes again into these domains also. So similarly, energy utilities, medical, all this is called verticals where the horizontals will be mapped. I'm not talking in this webinar the one portion which I'm system integration, where it will be more of product to product integration. That's where the system integration takes place, and I will not be talking on this in this webinar on that. I'll be moving to the next slide, which is more defining the horizontals, which is irrespective of your domains. So if I define the horizontals, it is the hardware, the firmware, the software, the mechanical, or the certifications, or some part of this, where these horizontals will be integrated to various domains as I given in earlier slide. Whether you do industrial product development of electronics, whether it comes to the automotive, whether it comes to the I would say energy utilization or utilities, or it is the defense sector. It's basically on the firmware, the software, mechanical certifications. Your basic development process is same. Only thing is your specifications are varying based on your vertical or domain you are handling. What I mean by basic specification is, I'll be giving you detailed level of how the interfaces takes place and what are all the commonalities that you will give it in the subsequent slides. I'll move to slide number 3, which is called which are more of a common interfaces. Now, if you see the common interfaces across the hardware is, you have a temperature sensor, you have a pressure sensors, you have humidity sensors, you have position sensors, you have proximity sensors, you have IR sensors, whatnot. You have all kind of sensors that is across the globe. These are the sensors used in various domains, but the sensors are common. If I go into the industrial segment, the temperature range may be between -40 to 120, or some process industries may require 300 to 350 degrees centigrade. If I go to automotive sector, I may require -40 to 85 only. And if I go into the military segment, my temperature sensor may require from -60 to +120 or 150 or 160. But the basic sensor interfacing is same, but your variation is varied based on your vertical or domain. So what I want to say is, if you are perfectly designing a product or understanding your basic hardware or the firmware or software in one vertical, you will be in a position to do the works for other verticals also, irrespective of what the domain knowledge you have. You cannot get the domain knowledge of all the domain knowledge even if you have a 20 to 30 years of experience. You may be doing at the most 2 to 3 domains perfectly well, but you will be doing on and off some projects in other domains. Like in last 25 years, I worked in industrial, automotive, medical, railway signaling, various parts of the audience sector, energy sectors, energy utilities. I would rather put it in this way. What happens is once you grow into the particular domain, your domain knowledge comes into picture, and which you learn only when you do the projects on that particular area. Similarly, pressure sensors, the humidity sensor, the position sensors, you use across all these domains. Your is common. There you will have you have control, you have controller, you have an analog circuitry, you have a digital circuitry, where you will be doing interfacing with based on your domain requirement. What I mean by domain requirement is, if I have an industrial development product, electronic product which I need to develop it, I will have a common controller which I will be interfacing one temperature sensor, which may be ranging from minus 40 to 120 degrees centigrade. Then I need an analog circuitry with an op amp. I'll select an op amp interface and connect it to analog input. And maybe I may be routing an LCD display or something, which I will give an output and connect it to an LCD display. Same temperature sensor, if I go into the range of the automotive sector, my range may be varying from minus 40 to 85 only, which is different from my industrial segment. But so what will happen? So my operational amplifier output may be reduced to, or the output of the operational amplifier reduced from instead of 0 to 3.3, I may take 0 to 2.5, or the same range, but my temperature range is coming down. So my accuracy level also be increasing. So I will select corresponding hardware analog circuitry in such a way based on requirement to my specific domain vector. But my code is not changing. What I mean to say is the controller is same irrespective of my domain. Whether it's an analog circuitry is same, the digital circuitry is same, I have to give some digital inputs, I need digital outputs. So that is how the interfaces are common. So what I want to say is, if you are in a position to have understand of the hardware, how it is interfaced to one particular domain, it is easy to switch over to the other domains. Yes, I may not understand the domain knowledge of the automotive if I'm in industrial sector, but that is only what my requirement is, understanding about the domain. Let's say my example, if I go into the, if I'm an industrial sector guy who understands about the motors or the embedded systems, which is particular to a process industry. Now, if I do the hardware design for that particular process industry, and if I move to automotive, the hardware is same, the controller same, the analog circuitry is same, the digital circuitry is same. Maybe my specifications are varying, but my domain knowledge in that may be different. Maybe I don't know, understand what is a throttle or how the car works or the auto brakes works. These are things I may not understand. They are related to only that particular domain. But your hardware, your ECU control, what you call the ECU control in the automotive, is similar to the control in the industry. The difference is both have the same kind of a controller, same kind of analog circuitry, same kind of digital circuitry, but the domain part is again a different. So those domain parts you will be learning only if you put your hands-on experience on that particular domain, if you work it, or you may take some YouTube videos and work on particular areas. So what you need to understand is, you need to first understand the concepts and the processes of understanding of the entire hardware interfaces. If you are perfect in that area, you can switch on from one domain to other domain. It's only question of it's like you are in 70 to 80% of understanding hardware, then the remaining 20% is basically related to that particular domain. So you need to understand that particular technologies or the particular, I don't say it's technologies, I would rather say the particular type of a domain knowledge comes through either experience or through some videos that you can go through it. Similarly, if I go into the firmware part, across the verticals of what I first slide, the flow, whether architecture diagram or the flow chart, the coding, these are all same standard. Whether I go for the industrial, automotive, defense, all things. Only my level of I would rather say the risk taking, the level of writing my code or level of understanding, that's the only difference I make it of. So if I use MISRA in industry standard, I may use SIL standard in SIL 1 to SIL 4 standard in the automotive sector, or I may go for IEC 61508 in the overall automotive sector. But that may not applicable for my industrial. But There also you develop in the automotive sector, you develop again the architecture diagram, you write the same flow charts for the module, you again coding, you do testing. The process is same, because as I told you in my earlier webinar, the process is same. The only thing is the kind of a particular application to the domain specific and the standard to be for that particular domain you need to understand. Otherwise, your embedded C is same, C++ same, your interfaces are same. So you need to, if you can do the common firmware interfaces perfectly for one particular domain, it's easy to switch over. What I mean by switch over is, if there is a ECU controller, if I want to have a in automotive sector, if you have an automotive sector, if you have ECU controller which I want to interface with RF module, whether it's a domain of industrial or it's a button of automotive, I need to put an RF module which is to be interfaced with a local controller and then take the data or input.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
You know that last time I told you in the webinar. Hello.
Yeah, continue, sir.
Yeah, if you see the mechanical designs, it is same again. The concept, the 3D model, 2D drawings, your manufacturing takes place. All this is part and parcel of your design process. Whether it's an industrial, if you go to industrial, you may go to panel. If you go to automotive, you may go small box. Whether you take a metal panel or a plastic panel, you're good out of the enclosure boxes. Whatever all you call it off across the domains, you take it off. But your bottom line is, again, the most common part which I want to say is again concepts, 3D model, 2D drawings, all this, which is the common things, irrespective of my domains. If I'm putting a box in an automotive sector, I may be using more stringent value of my protection system. I may be using IP56 or IP65. If I go for industrial, I may use IP20. Or against a box, there also it's a box. Here also is a box. There is a panel, maybe a box. The difference is, in an automotive, I may be using a metal or plastic. In industry, I may be using more of metal. It all depends on how your domain-specific requirements. But otherwise, my process is same. My design concepts are same. Only thing I need to bother is the particular domain knowledge which I want to take it up, that I will take it up. I will go into that particular area and then work it out, irrespective whether it is a or if let me give an example of the some of the examples I will give in the defense. In the aerospace sector, normally your specifications are much stringent. If I go into the aerospace product of the electronic development, the basic frequency itself is operated at 400 hertz, which is the highest level of the operation frequency, which normally none of the industrial products or the automotive products or the energy utility vertical domains, all these domains work in different frequency. But in even the defense and aerospace also, although my frequency is high, it is same hardware, same controllers, same interfacing. My specifications are stringent there. I need to go into that. And my frequencies vary, so I need to look for my transformers or the corresponding circuitry in a different manner. The only there that specific to that particular domain, I will be looking here. Otherwise, the same temperature sensor in my defense or aerospace will come into the temperature sensor with respect to industrial, same temperature with respect to the automotive or the energy utilities or the process industries. I have gone through all these things, but my bottom line is sensor. With a thermistor I may take in terms of the industrial, or I may take ITD, or I may use some small application. But your basic interface is same. If you are perfect with the interfaces with the one common hardware and able to integrate the hardware with the firmware and put it in a small hardware box with the mechanical interfaces, develop an electronic product end to end, whether hardware, firmware, mechanical, put it in box and do one electronic full product development. Actually, what happens is the industry, the problem with I don't say it's a problem, but the nomenclature, what happened is either you'll be declared as embedded hardware or embedded firmware. You never be talked in terms of the product designer. So if you want to be a product designer, better to do one product development completely end to end, develop an hardware for a particular vertical or domain, maybe industrial, automotive, then go for a do the hardware for that, do the firmware for that particular application, do your mechanical, develop a mechanical enclosure or plastics, whatever you want it of, develop it, test it, integrate it, and make an integration of the entire system, and test with the enter end requirement with respect to the automotive or industrial, whatever vertical you are working. If you do all this, one thing I can definitely ensure is your horizontals are very good, as I told you in my earlier slide number 3, where your horizontals you are able to achieve perfectly. Once your horizontals are perfect, you may say, sir, it in automotive you may use only 4 layer, 6 layer PCB, or industrial you may use only 2 to 4 layer. In maybe in scientific instruments, or you may in maybe in PCB you may use 10 layers, 20 layers. Fair enough, but your basic hardware is same. It's a question of particular domain requirement. Your basic development of hardware design is same, your design process is same, your PCB levels are same, your component checking is same, your component assembly manufacturing process may be different, but your entire thought process of the design is same. So if you can able to do perfectly one particular product end to end, you with one particular domain area, you will be in a position to enter into other domains by understanding their particular domain values. It may be if you are done in automotive, you can definitely enter into the industrial, or you can enter into the specific components, instruments, or utilities, energies. There, I will look into particular areas of the domain knowledge worked out. So there's again, if you take the product certification also, all products, when if I want to when I develop the product, I need to put into the certification part, otherwise which I will not be in a position to sell. Whether it can be UL certification, CE certification, JQ certification, all these certifications talks a different kind of a test to perform on the product to say that yes, this particular product is suitable to that particular domain. Let's example, I worked in a product like industrial, where I need to do some common certification tests. Some of the examples I given in this slide, like thermal cycling test, vibration test, EMIMC test, drops test, insulation test. These are all the common tests which I'm doing it of. If I'm going for industrial, if I do thermal cycling test, I may be doing for 7 continuous days of temperature cycling test from let's minus 40 to 120 degrees centigrade with a temperature gradient of 1 degree per change in per minute, and then try to see the cyclic operations of for 7 days, see whether my product is working or not. And same industrial product, if I do a vibration test, maybe I'll be doing an industrial product at 1G or 0.5G with a frequency of say let's say 5 hertz to 350 hertz. Maybe I may be getting a resulting frequency at 150 hertz. And this, if I say the same electronic product is designed with this certification requirements for a particular industrial domain, I do drop test, I do EMIMC, I do CE test, RE test, and then okay, my product is certified and got into picture. Now I have a knowledge in which I know the product of the industrial segment vertical works for thermal cycling test, it works vibration, it works for EMC, it has been done with drop test, insulation test, all these performed based on the standards of the UL or CE or some JQA or whatever you call it of CSI, what are all things. Let's example, I apply same standards here to the industrial, I'll come to the automotive. Now what happens is the automotive standards may be different, but there also I need to do these cyclic tests, which is certifications are common. If I do thermal cycling tests, I may be doing instead of 7 days, I may be doing more days, maybe 15 days or less days with X example. Similarly, the vibration test, if I do industrially, I may be doing it 0.5G, 1G. But if I go automotive side, since they are working on the roads, I may be doing 1.5G or 2G, which is the higher frequency. And I'll be doing between, say, 5 hertz to maybe 300 hertz, which is more critical requirement of that particular domain, because automotive is more prone to these vibration requirements. Similarly, EMIMC. So EMIMC, maybe I will be doing C and RE with the expanded variations, expanded range, I would rather say. So instead of 150 kilohertz to you go to 1 gigahertz, I may be increasing that. But if I apply my industrial knowledge to automotive knowledge, most of the case, I would say 100%, but 80 to 90%, these are all common. The ranges are different because of the particular domain requirement. So when I enter into the industry, I need to have a knowledge of one particular domain instead of going into different domains. If I have a domain of one particular knowledge, one particular domain, which I do end to end. Then it's a question of replicating that knowledge to the different verticals or the domains. Why I'm stressing on this point is your domain knowledge is not, you will not get the domain knowledge unless you don't work in that particular area. uh, uh, you don't even understand the language or the words that you need to use it of in that particular domains. Let's say example I will use for the uh, uh, difference between the oil and gas and industrial. If I go to the industrial oil and gas sector, I call RTUs or the SCADA systems, or I will call in these systems which is part of the oil and gas requirement. They are also electronic products which has been done using this hardware, firmware, software, but still that is the domain knowledge that they talk it off. It's more of that way. If I go into industrial, they may say, okay, I'll go to process industries. They may have a drive, a motor, or with an embedded controller with a common user interface working with a GUI controls. That's a language that they need to use. HMI, they call HMI. You use human interface, then dump through serial link, UART. This is the one language which you use. So it's basically what I want to say is in this webinar is you people have a assumption that this particular domain which I may not in a position to go. No, looking into my 25 years experience, I would rather say that what horizontals or verticals which I had defined in the slide number 1 and 2. The verticals are application, but if you're perfect in your horizontals, the verticals can be entered any part of your life. So that's what exactly I want to stress on this. So you should be very much clear on what horizontal, how much level of confidence you have, how much level of work you should do. Understand the entire product cycle, not exactly understanding, do one full product life cycle so that it will help you. Suppose if I'm an experienced guy with a 5 to 10 years experience, I may be doing more of an embedded hardware, but I may not be doing embedded firmware. So if I do a full product with a 10 years experience of all these 4 cycles or 5 cycles which I have it horizontals, which I call it hardware, firmware, software, mechanical, and certification, that knowledge will tomorrow from industrial to the automotive or the railways or utilities, I can go into that. Yes, the particular domain knowledge is definitely I'll be learning in that particular. So instead of wasting your entire time on the domain sector, I know 70% of my horizontals, which is my core for any vertical. My horizontals I am clear. Now my verticals are, I don't know 30% of vertical industrial vertical. I know only 30% of railways. I will learn it, and thus 30% time I will spend on particular domain, either through YouTube or through friends or to sing. I will learn the particular domain knowledge at the standards which I want it of and develop the products. So what happens is, if I say 30 years of the human life cycle of the people, engineers, that they have it of 30 years cycle, if you are able to do in first 10 years, if you are clear with the horizontals in first 10 years, your verticals can be next 20 years. You can definitely control one by one, or you can talk in that area or enter into that area very fastly. So it's like a base. Your horizontals are base. So if you are able to have a perfect base in the horizontals, you can anytime you can enter into the verticals. That's exactly how I would put it in that sector. I think with this I'll be ending this webinar. If you have any questions, you can raise it.
I think questions we will ask the viewers to put it in the comments in the YouTube live video so that we can reply back in the same video itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So any suggestion for the guys who, yeah, thank you. Any suggestion for the guys who are listening this video, how they have to plan their career? So just few tips, 1 or 2 tips. Like anyway, you clearly mentioned that definitely they have to work on the horizontals and verticals fall as they move along in their career. So that's the important message you have already given, and I think the guys who have listened it should be very useful. And people would be worried, like my friend is working in automotive and I have been stuck in industrial or oil and gas, so is it helpful for my career? So these kind of questions do come up for the guys when they work in different domains, looking at their friends working in another domain which they seem very valuable. So these kind of questions many people do have, might be that might be the question. So from that perspective, do you have any suggestion for the guys?
Yeah, I have once see normally what happens. It is I have seen with my experience. It is not only that the interviewers, when you go to interview, people ask that also. You don't have experience in automotive. You don't have experience in the defense sector. So so you have to explain to them what is this horizontal is, what is vertical is. So once you explain them and understand them, okay, now they don't expect the domain, they don't expect the interview, don't expect you to have the full knowledge of particular domain. So you will have an advantage the moment you say these are all the common things which we can do it off. He will understand, okay, now this fellow has analytical ability, he can be given the chance to go into different domain, he can learn and understand things, but since his base is very strong, like 70% of the base is available, so only a particular domain knowledge he will learn and move up very fastly. So that's the kind of confidence you will get.